You probably remember the video on the main channel of the two teenagers who come up to some guy's bike and try to steal it, and he comes out with a gun on him. And I said we were going to talk to the attorneys about it, and here today on John's Briefs, I'm with Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection, and we are going to do just that. Today's video is brought to us by Firearms Legal Protection. Firearms Legal Protection is a legal defense program for lawful gun owners with a 24/7 emergency hotline and plans designed specifically for self-defenders. They are offering a discount on their plan to ASP fans, so hit the link in the description for that. So we're here at Wilderness Tactical in Phoenix, Arizona. You guys know I love them and appreciate them giving us the space. I'm here with my friend Terry Johnson. And Terry, I appreciate all the support that you and Firearms Legal Protection provide for us at ASP.
It's our pleasure, and we're glad to be partners with you folks.
So let's talk about this one. I said this to you just before we started filming, and you're like, oh, I got a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, yeah.
So what stood out to you when you first watched from your perspective as an attorney?
Why would the homeowner go to the door with his gun out when you just see two people that are taking property? Where is the danger, the imminent danger to the homeowner? That was my biggest problem with that. Yes, they're stealing a bike, and even if they were stealing his car, at the end of the day, it's still property.
Right.
So when he walked out, he could have walked out, maybe had his firearm on his hip, maybe open
so a gun
carrying,
in a holster?
Holstered. But what if there was an accident? You know, the other part of that is you start to use your firearm, and again, I'm using the term use in a different word here, not use as in fire, but use as in
have it in hand.
Having it in hand, and now is it aggravated assault.
So do you have more protection though because you are in your home? So do I have a right to walk around my home with a gun in my hand?
You have that right, absolutely.
Now I don't think it's wise. I think there's plenty of rights you have that I think are stupid.
Correct, but here's the thing, John. You right now can swing as hard as you want, as far as you want.
Sure.
But your right to swing pretty much stops right about
right
here.
Right at the end of the nose.
So you can swing right here. I can stand right here. But if you come close and you hit my nose, now we've got a problem. Yes,
we got a problem.
So, he should go to law school. I've been trying to push this on him. So write in, have John go to law school.
No. You put a comment in the description and say, no, Terry, John's not going to law school. He's running active self-protection. So, but it seems to me I could make the argument that, okay, should he have come to the door with a gun in his hand? Maybe not. But is it reasonable for me to answer my own door? Is it legal for me to answer my own door with a gun in my hand?
Absolutely, it's legal.
Sure, it's legal, right? And I want to protect that, especially in somebody's home. You get the right to do, if I want to walk in my house naked all day long, that's my right. Now, maybe not on the front porch though, because now
others can see, and it's kind of invading their right of peaceful and quiet enjoyment.
Not seeing your naked self. So there's that idea of, okay, I can walk around my house with a gun in my hand. Can I walk around my front yard with a gun in my hand?
You probably could, but let's think about it from this perspective. Again, I want to look at it from the aggravated assault or as we call it, Michigan felony firearm perspective. You can walk around your yard all day with your firearm in your hand, but will it put me in fear?
Well, he certainly put those teenagers in fear.
So you would agree with me we have a case of aggravated assault at that point.
See, I don't know if I do because I look at this guy. Now, of course, I think he put him in fear just by opening the door. As soon as he opened the door, these teens realized, oh no, the jig is up, and off they ran.
Correct.
Okay. I would guess they never saw the gun.
Well, you can make the argument that they didn't see the gun, but the camera saw the gun.
The camera did see the gun.
And as he walked out,
he led with the gun.
He led with the gun. And to me, it comes down to aggravated assault. Because again, here's a question you have to ask. What was the imminent fear of death, great bodily harm, or forcible felony?
So I think it's interesting though, because here in Arizona, there's a very strong defensive display of a firearm statute that we have.
Yes.
That allows somebody to display a firearm in a protective manner at threat of physical force.
So,
but not to shoot it.
But here's the question. What was the physical force? at that point? To the individual,
Yeah,
not to the bike.
Trespassers on his property, and I think it's pretty weak at that point to say that I can articulate a physical threat.
Well, and let's go back. You said trespass. Were they trespassing? Because again, I can come to your front door and knock on your front door.
Yeah, okay, so they weren't necessarily trespassing, but they were trying to steal his bike.
Okay, that becomes the question at that point. So if they were stealing the bike, which again, according to the video, they were.
Sure looks like they were.
At that point, he now is using a firearm to do what?
To defend property.
I rest my case.
To defend property. And so, man, we got some problems here, right? And I said from a tactical perspective, man, I don't think it's a good idea. So here's a good reason, again, to perhaps have a firearm in a holster. Okay, fine.
In a holster.
And, bust open that door. Hey, get away from my bike.
I answer my door. I always have my firearm on me.
Sure.
Now, you come to my house, you open the door, I open the door, Terry, and I've got my gun pointed at you. Do I have a right to have a gun in my hand at my house? Absolutely.
Yes. Pointed at you? Not so much.
Exactly. And this is what's happened here. This guy had this firearm out and pointed, and there was no imminent fear, in my opinion. This, to me, is I'm warding you off from property.
Right. So, okay, let's be very careful what we have here. Do you have the right to have a firearm on your person, on your property? Of course. Even in places where concealed carry is almost unheard of. You can still have a firearm on your property.
Absolutely.
But the second you put it in your hand, do you have a right to walk around your house with a gun in your hand? Yes, I don't think you should. I think that's a bad idea, but you do have a right to do plenty of stupid things in your home. Do you have a right then to shoo people off your property with a gun in your hand? Now my rights start being interacting with others.
Correct.
Even dirtbag kids trying to steal my bike, I have to act reasonably.
So if the homeowner would have gone out and said, get out of here,
Right.
go away. And let's go back to what you just said. Maybe they didn't see the gun, they just got scared and left. If he didn't have the gun out, that would have been perfect, ideal.
Sure, perfect, 100%.
But if those kids decide to do something to him or they start charging him, at that point, he can...
Yeah, if he says, hey, get off my property, and they go, what are you going to do about it?
That's something different at that point.
Now we have a threat.
Right. But here, he introduced the firearm into the situation, and the situation he introduced it into was a crime against property.
So here is a case that seems like the case of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, because we say that Papa Bear too early, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Baby Bear too late, you're going to have problems losing the fight. Mama Bear at the right time, we're in just perfect. So don't be Papa Bear here and get it out too early, because you could land yourself in some legal trouble.
Absolutely. And the question I would ask, if I were a prosecutor in this case, why did you go to the porch with a gun?
Yeah.
And saying, well, it's my lawful right to do so, really wouldn't go over too well.
It doesn't help you a bit.
Yeah.
And of course, in this case, not to the best of my knowledge, no charges were filed. The police weren't called. I think that the original uploader of the video was the guy involved in it. It was his home. And so he's just showing, look at me, I ran these guys off. Maybe another lesson there about not putting potential crimes on the inner tubes for the world to see.
Yeah, that one scares me. What are we trying to show people? That, again, no disrespect to the homeowner, but if a prosecutor picks that up and that kid, for whatever reason, goes and says, I was afraid, you now have a problem that you have now put forth, and you've given the prosecutor everything they need to prosecute you.
As always, you got to act reasonably, guys. And so, Terry, thank you for giving me a new perspective on that, and another reason to have the holstered firearm rather than the gun in hand, even on your own property.
Thank you, John.